Hi, everybody. Please give me a heads up if you can hear me clearly. Apparently, last time there was some issues with the sound not recording for some reason. So if you are on Facebook, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, let me know if you can hear me clearly. All right? Give me a thumbs up or something like that. Hi, Ihan. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Jairino. Hi, Nimisha. Mr. Who Lives Like This. Hello. Okay, cool. You guys can all hear me there. From San Antonio in the house, Jairino. Daniel from Taiwan. Also, as always, please, please, please, my favorite thing is to know where you're joining from. So, wherever you are, whether it's on Instagram or whether it's on Facebook or YouTube, drop me a comment and let me know your name and where you're joining from so I can give you a little shout out as well. Okay. Dilek from Turkey, Merhaba, nasılsın? Stefan from, where are you? I forgot where you're living now. Panita from Iran. Wow, very cool. Kurt, Netherlands. How are you, my friend? Elan from Oakley, California. Very, very cool. Vegas in the house. Not your average uncle. Nimisha from Florida. Yep, drop those lines in there. Honestly, this is my favorite part of this these live chats is to see where everybody is from. Let's see who else is here. Sherry, I think you're London, no? If I'm not mistaken. Judy in the house. Hi. Kurt doing more than okay. Awesome. That's good to hear. So a little introduction. I might have to say this again in a minute. Judy from Mexico. Cool. Very, very cool. İyiyim, teşekkürler. Ben de iyiyim, teşekkürler. All right, don't forget, throw your location into the chat, into the comments, and your name, especially if you're on Instagram, because Instagram, we all have very creative handles on Instagram. So it's sometimes hard to deduce what your actual name is on there. So throw your name in there and let me know where you are joining from. And also, actually, while you're at it, let me know if this is your first time joining an actual live session. Because I do have my live session replays on YouTube where you can find them, but I'm not sure who's actually watching them and engaging with me in person, live, real time, or who's watching the replay. So if this is your first time, let me know. If you've been here for previous live chats, that's also fantastic. I'd love to know that too. Nimisha, this is your first time. Awesome. Well, pleasure to have you here. So before we get started with this live chat, let me just explain a little bit about what this is all about. The live chats that I'm doing are once a month. These are like my Ask Magna Q&As. I've often gotten lots and lots of questions, not just from random messaging on Facebook and on Instagram, on my social media, or via email, but also questions that students and my coaching clients have to deal with. So seeing as it is something that's useful to at least one person, I figure that answering these questions can be useful to many more people. And that's why I'm doing these live chats. So one of the best ways that you can engage in the live chat is to ask your questions. Okay. Now, there are a couple of ways that you can do that, which is one, if you are live with me, you can throw them in the comments. On Facebook and on YouTube, you can throw them in the comments. They are quite well organized for me to see here. If you are on Instagram, I would recommend clicking the question mark button at the bottom of the chat and submitting your question there. The only reason I say that is because when it's a question in the comments as people are joining or waving or saying hello, it's a little bit hard for me to go back and scroll and find the question. But with the question button, I can just click directly on it and get right to your question. Okay. The other way to engage with this is, of course, one way to support it as well, which is to share it. So if you did enjoy it, if there was something about this live chat that addressed one of your questions, or you found something interesting or something informative or something useful, um, share the link on YouTube. There's also this really great feature that somebody else told me about recently, which was on YouTube, you can share clips. I don't know if anyone else has heard of that. If you have, throw a yes, I've heard of that. I just recently learned about that. There's always so many new developments with social media stuff and going streaming live and everything that I don't always know what the hell is going on, right? So, if you have heard of it, great, and you know how to use it. If not, on YouTube, you can share a clip. So if there's a clip of a section that you actually like, you can do share clip, and then it allows you to, I guess, capture a minute or whatever length of the clip that you like. And then you can just share that link. And then that way, whoever you share that to can get that small tidbit of information that you found really useful. But when they watch it, they also get access to the entire live chat if they want to go and watch the rest of it as well. So that's one really easy way to do the sharing of the clips. Okay. Um, the other thing I would say is in terms of supporting this, one of the easiest ways you can support is to hit subscribe, hit like on the videos that you enjoy. Especially, there's so much content on, especially on my YouTube channel. There's so much stuff there. But on Facebook, Instagram, or on YouTube, hit subscribe, share that, tag me if you do, so that I know. And especially if you tag me on something that's a topic specific and someone else comments on it and they have a question, they have a further question, either I can reply in the comments and answer them if I've been tagged so I know that they commented, or if anything, I can also take that question and add it to a future live chat again so that everyone else can benefit too. Okay. So that's a couple of ways. If you want to further support me and my channel and my efforts to bring this information to all of you, to address all of your questions, on YouTube and on Facebook, if you look on the description, you can see there's a little coffee link that's like buy me a coffee. It's very cute. So you can leave a donation there. And if you are here on Instagram, there's an option, I believe, to like purchase a badge or something like that. So you have that option as well. If you want to support in other ways, there's Venmo and PayPal and all that stuff. So you can always send me a message and I can do that for you. And then finally, my last point about the live chat before we kind of get into some of the other present announcements and topics is the feedback form. Of course, if you've been here before, or if you've even watched a replay, you have heard me say this a million times over. The feedback form is so important, not just for the fact that you were there and that you enjoyed it, but really to understand what resonated the most with you. What question did you ask, or what question did you hear answered that made a lot of sense to you, that was impactful, that you could either apply to your dancing or to your life or to your relationships or anything like that. Those kind of things mean a lot to me because, yes, I'm here and I'm answering all the questions, but I'm not always sure exactly how it's impacted you. And the better I know that, the more I know that I'm doing something right. And then I can continue doing that for all of you. Okay. So the feedback form you can find on my website, magnagopal.com. You can go to the contact section of my website, and there's a couple of feedback forms, including the live chat form. But if not, if you want to go directly to that form, you just go to magnagopal.com/feedback. Let me throw that up here for my people on Facebook and YouTube. Very simple. magnagopal.com/feedback. I was going to say /Facebook. What the hell am I talking about? A couple more hellos in chat. Felicien from France. Elan, YouTube also has transcripts below the clips. That's even better. Fantastic. So for those of you on Instagram, obviously there's no transcript here, but if you do want to watch it, especially if English is not your first language and I might be going too fast, sometimes I do speak quite quickly, especially I get excited about a topic or something, then YouTube is the best place to watch it. And you can click the closed captioning, which is pretty accurate if you're speaking clearly, which I do hope I'm speaking clearly. Feel free at any time in these chats. Magna, that was too fast. Can you please repeat that? Okay. And Elan, thank you again for joining this first live. Danny from Belgium. Hello. All right. Who we have? Adam from Bangalore, right? Adam Pasha? Um, DJF Fatin said that there's no question mark option. I see it on my side. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what it looks like on the live side for all of you. JBF from Oakland, New Jersey. Rocio again, Mexico. Very cool. Awesome. Again, if you're just joining, please make sure that you say hello and let me know where you are joining from. I very, very, very much appreciate it. And that hello makes this a lot more personal than and two-sided instead of just one-sided. Okay. So it makes me, brings a little smile to my heart. Camilo, hello. I don't know if you're still in London, but we should hopefully see each other when you come to New York next month. I know I got your message. Um, Nimisha said, I think he has to press the plus sign and then the question mark will show up. All right. So anyone who is trying to send a question on Instagram, just press the plus sign and then the question mark should show up. Irina from Belarus. Yep, that's it. Yep, I remember. And Bangalore, Adam. That's right. Correct, correct. Exactly. Dilek, that is the plus button and the question mark button. That is how you'll be able to submit that question. And somebody else left a comment here. Jairino, you're one of the most articulate people I've heard. I appreciate that. Thank you. I do my best. Joel from Carolina. Wow. Maybe today's not one of those articulate days. Okay, so a couple of announcements, not that many announcements, actually, just one announcement, which is membership launch. I just recently launched a new membership on my platform, or rather, relaunched an old membership, but added a whole bunch more things and reorganized it and made it better, a lot better. That is available. If you want to find out more about that, go to learn.magnagopal.com. There is a launch special offer right now on the monthly memberships as well as the yearly memberships. So if you want more info on that, you can send me a message, or you can just go to learn.magnagopal.com and get access to that. That includes all sorts of dance tutorials, full class replays for those of you who are interested just in dance. It also includes beginner courses, lots of tips, mindset tips on how to approach learning, how to approach connecting with somebody else. The tutorials are in various categories, including your fundamentals, turns and spins, partner work, body movement, exercises for developing your strength. And then in addition to that, if you want the combo membership, that combo membership includes also all of my personal workouts. This is how I stay fit. This is how I train. Yes, there's also gym and all of that stuff, but this was all the workouts that I was able to do to keep myself in peak performance condition and just sanity, mental health and physical health overall. Throughout quarantine. These are workouts that you can do without any equipment if you don't have it. But the new membership also includes all of the extra bonuses, including things that I have done, exercises that I've done to treat my own injuries. So I know as dancers, as people who play sports, as people who live a fit lifestyle, there are many chances to get injured. And sometimes we don't always take care of that well. So there is also that included in the combo membership. Again, learn.magnagopal.com. That's how you can find out information about that. That should also give you a link. There's a link on the website. If you click on that, you should see the current discount codes available for the discounts on the memberships. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message, a DM, and I will provide all of that info for you. Cool. All right. So let's see where we're at. First things first is a couple of questions that I received before we get into our main topic today, which is the whole "Are you asking for too much?" Okay. And again, one of the best ways to participate in this is to actually submit your questions. So if there's anything else you want to ask, it doesn't have to be related to this topic. It can be about dance, it can be about life, it can be about business, it can be about relationships, it can be about anything. Okay. You can throw them into the chat. And if I cannot get to it today, in today's live chat, I will be sure to get to it either in a future live chat or one of my blog articles. All right. So let's get started. All right, here we go. So, one of the first questions I got, and I think this one is pretty useful. This is from Raphael, which was, how do you calm your nerves before speaking to a group? And we have, obviously, public speaking is one of the things that I do. I've done a TED talk. I am branching out more into that career. Speaking of which, if you're associated with a school or an organization that would like some type of motivational, inspirational leadership development speeches or presentations or seminars, anything like that, let me know. I would love to get in contact with you and see how I can be of assistance. Okay. But some of the techniques that I use, at least when it comes to calming the nerves, and the nerves are there all the time. I just want to say that off the top, which is, and this applies obviously to dancing as well as to teaching, right? So it's not just if you have a career in public speaking, it's also about any moment that you have to present to an audience, especially an audience that you're not familiar with. um, so I always get nerves, so just to put that out there, I always get nervous just before I have to start doing whatever it is that I am tasked to do. One of the things that has helped me a lot, and this is something that I've done in the past, but recently I was watching, or rather listening to a podcast where they talked about the kind of physiological aspects of adrenaline and physiological aspects of those nerves that kind of build up in you, and how to use breathing to calm them down. So breath work is super important, and the more you can control the way you breathe, the easier it becomes for you to actually tone down those nerves. Whenever I need extra energy, like there are times that I am exhausted and I'm like, especially when it came to like events, and I've been teaching all day and I've had privates, and maybe I haven't had any rest, and now I have to go and perform. I have a different type of nervousness, which is like, do I have the energy right now to go out there and put 150% onto the stage, right? And in those moments, what I usually try and do is to build up the blood flow. So, simple ways, exercises that you can do, obviously, squats, push ups, anything like that, jumping jacks that gets the blood flowing, but also your breath work. So, what I've learned recently was that um, your inhales and your exhales, the ratio between your inhales and exhales, how long they last, can determine whether you are going to build adrenaline in your system or decrease adrenaline in your system. So, the longer your inhales are compared to your exhales, the more adrenaline you can build. So, the more energy you can get out of that. Whereas if you do the inverse and you have longer exhales to your inhales, the calmer you can make your nervous system in general. Okay. So for performances, anything like that, usually it's a need to get more energy to get on stage and have that like yes, I'm ready to go. But when I did my TED talk, that was my first time going up on stage and giving this presentation in front of on a in a huge auditorium, with seating for, I don't know, I think it was like 2,500 people. It wasn't full, so let me just say that. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to completely tell if it was fully full anyways, because it was quite dark in the further areas of the seats. But before my TED talk, I felt like my nerves were just too high. My adrenaline was going too fast. And so in that case, what I had done is actually just taken a seat and done some very, very long exhales. Exhales also, compared to the ratio again, to compare to your inhales, if you can, also help calm you down in a lot of stressful situations. I've had a shit ton of stressful situations. And in all of those situations, instead of inhaling and tightening up and holding that breath, which only makes me feel more stressed and more tense, what I tend to do is just take those and let that go. And then do that a couple of times. And every single time, without fail, it has relaxed me. Okay. So, for those of you who have those moments where you are nervous about going and speaking in front of a group of people, whether that's teaching a class, whether that's even doing a performance, whether that's emceeing, whether that's giving a presentation at work, or whether that's doing a speech of some sort, these are a couple of the techniques that you can use depending on what you are trying to accomplish in your body, whether that is to increase your adrenaline, increase that energy, or to calm yourself down. Okay. That is one. Feliciana got too much. Felicia has a question, which is going to be related to our main topic that I will get to. I'm just going to get through some of the other questions that um, are a little bit quicker to get through. Another question I got was from Wade, which is how to be effective with your advice when asked for it without having life experience on it. And this one is quite useful to know because we don't know everything, right? It's very, very rare that you can ask someone and they know the answer to every single question. But there are a lot of people who have a difficult time admitting that, or who have a difficult time saying, "Yes, I don't know. Let me find out," or something like that. And unfortunately, the outcome of that is that they give you advice, that they answer your question anyways, but with the wrong information. Okay. So, when it comes to being asked for advice and not actually having the right answer or not having any information on that topic, it requires humility first. Okay. And humility goes a long way in life in general, but especially in situations where you are put in a position to help somebody else. You must be humble to know what you are capable of, what knowledge and information you have, what experiences you've had, and what you have not had, what you do not have. There is nothing wrong with not having something in the present moment because you can always acquire it. You can always gain that experience. You can always gain that knowledge. But to pretend that you have that knowledge when you don't, or to pretend that you have that answer when you don't, only serves to defeat the purpose of what was being asked of you, which was help. Right? If I'm asking someone for help, I want information that can help me. If you're providing me with inaccurate information, you are not helping me. Okay. I can relate this back to dance. There are many instructors who are the masters of everything, right? You're like, oh, do you know Cuban? Yeah, I know Cuban. Oh, do you know casino? Yeah, I know. I can teach you all of this stuff. And in reality, they don't actually know much of any of those things, right? They might know one dance very, very well, but they don't know the subset dances from there. And they don't necessarily know other dances from there. But because they've already ranked really, really high in the dance that they know, they almost feel like, hmm, what does this say about me if I don't know this other dance that is also related to what I do? So I'm not going to pretend that I don't know because that makes me look less. And it doesn't actually. So for me, for example, my experience with salsa, yeah, that's a dance that I feel very, very comfortable in, very solid in, on one, on two. Do I know Cuban salsa that well? I can dance it, I can follow it, but I don't really know it that well to teach it. And so if someone comes to me asking for Cuban salsa or casino or Afro, right? Yes, I can break down the movements. I am very comfortable with explaining movement. So if someone was asking me, okay, how do you create this movement? Sure, I can explain. These are the muscles that you tense. This is how you breathe at this moment. This is where you want to send your energy. This is how you retract that energy. I can break all of that down because I understand movement. However, the origins or the essence of the dance itself, I don't. And so whenever people come to me, I'm very quick to say, that's not my forte. This is what I can teach you. If this is something that you want to learn, let me recommend somebody else. Okay. So that's for dance. That's a dance analogy that perhaps you can relate to, perhaps you can't, but it applies to anything and everything else in life as well. If someone is asking you for help regarding how do I run a business in this particular industry and you already run a business in a different industry, sure, there are overlaps. Of course, there are parallels, but don't pretend that you know it all because if you're trying to help somebody, you're going to do them a disservice by giving them information that they don't need or they can't use. So give them what you have, explain it with a caveat. Listen, this is my business. Perhaps these things overlap into your business. You can try them out. However, I don't quite know the full inner workings of that business. I do know somebody who might know that. Let me put you in touch with that person. Okay. Um, all right. One more question. Oh, actually, you know what? Okay. So the next question is kind of two questions are kind of related to our topic for today. But I am going to talk about something that I experienced this past weekend. I was working a gig, very different from what I usually do. It was in bartending. So it was something that I had learned recently, and I wanted to, obviously put my skills to the test. And I had learned in this experience how many people think that knowing a skill is sufficient to succeed in that environment or in that industry. Okay. One of the skills that I think will serve you more than anything else is your communication, your interpersonal, and your ability to have a sense of etiquette in your behaving, in your behavior, in the way you interact with other people. I worked an event where there were a lot of bartenders, a lot of service staff, and a lot of managers on this event as well. And sure, everybody has been hired for their skill set. Everyone has been hired for their experience in that particular department. But I will tell you that 90% of the people that I engaged with had zero interpersonal skills. Zero. I mean, there were people that were managing a group of people who never introduced themselves to that group of people, who never shook their hands and said, "Hi, my name is so and so. What's your name?" "Okay, great. You'll be working this today, and I will be in charge of this. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me." None of that. If anything was communicated, it was communicated more as a command or a request or a suggestion, but never with any personalization to it. And all of us at some point or another are dealing with people. If you are in a position of authority, sometimes you might not actually look at the person that is helping you out and acknowledge their humanity in that moment. And so you just tell them what to do or you ask something of them. But my question to all of you is, have you asked their name? Have you asked them anything about them? Because at the end of the day, you're not dealing with robots. The people that are helping you, the people that are serving you, the people that are working next to you are not robots. They are other individuals and human beings. And if we can't take that moment to acknowledge that, we lose an opportunity to build a beautiful connection. And it doesn't mean, again, just like in dance, okay? It doesn't mean that that connection needs to last a lifetime. It could last 5 minutes. It can last for the length of the duration of your engagement with that person and never, ever, ever to be repeated again, never to be rekindled, completely cut off after that moment. However, you are already there, you're already present. Why not? Now, many of you might say, "Oh, of course, I totally agree," right? I don't think anyone disagrees with this approach. But the question is, how often do you actually apply it, right? And you might be surprised at how often you apply it in terms of almost never, right? Including grocery stores, including going somewhere, right? It's oftentimes even at the grocery store. Most of the time when I end up right at the cashier, I'm not like, "All right, here's my items." I'm like, "Hi, how are you?" Really simple. You don't need to build the relationship further, but at least acknowledge somebody instead of just looking at someone as a transaction. Okay. So that was one observation that I noticed basically with almost every person I interacted with over this weekend. Just this inability to try and connect with someone, including at the end of, sorry, that's really loud. I'll just wait until that passes. Including at the end of an event, after someone has worked with you for X amount of time, even the managers that I was working with and working under, they barely even said bye. I had to go up to them and shake their hand and say, "Hey, so and so, it was nice working with you. Hope you have a great day." Simple, simple things, that just personalize the moments. Second point on that same experience and observation is something that I have been saying forever and a day, and it applies to literally everything that we do and every interaction, every dance, every engagement, every friendship, every relationship, every um, job, every commitment is commit to your yes. Commit to your yes. What does that mean? That means if you say yes to something, give it 100%. Don't be half assed about it. Okay. Because, and this will tie into our topic later, because there might be someone who could do it at 100%. If you're saying yes and you're only planning to deliver 50%, don't even do it. Or at least have that caveat and say, hey, listen, yes, I can, but this is the capacity at which I can work, or this is at the capacity that I can deliver. Okay. But if you are saying yes, most people, when I ask a question or when I request something and someone says yes to me, I expect 100% of their effort, whatever that effort may be. Okay. And sometimes that might require some clarification, but I still expect 100% effort from the person who has said yes to me. So if you're saying yes to something, commit 100%. What I had observed throughout this weekend, but also just in general, and dance is a perfect example of this, okay, is how many people say yes to a request and then kind of just mosey around and do the bare minimum. Now, how does that affect people? Obviously, for the person who has asked you, there's an expectation in that request. It's the same expectation you would have if you made the same request. And that's why I say, yes, clarification is important. However, some common sense could go a long way. Okay. If I ask somebody for a dance, for example, am I asking someone to dance with me and look everywhere except at me? Am I asking someone to dance who's just kind of huffing and puffing through the dance, who looks bored? Am I asking someone to dance who's really not trying to connect with me and kind of just ignoring that connection that we have present? No, of course not. When I ask someone to dance, I want someone who wants to dance with me, right? Who is present in the moment, who is trying to connect with me. And so when someone asks me to dance, I think it's safe to assume that they're probably asking for something similar. And so when I say yes to someone who's asked me to dance, that is the commitment. And that is what I'm going to try and deliver. That applies to everything else too. This weekend, for example, I was working with many people who had said yes to this event. And from the very moment that we arrived, we're yawning and bored, even to the point of being like that in front of customers. Like, I get that you're tired, but you understood what this engagement entailed. You already knew what your hours would be. You know, sorry that you don't feel rested, but that's not up to the customer to, that's not for the customer to see, right? That's not for the person who's asking you for something or asking for a service or engaging with you to experience. They didn't sign up for that. Just like with, I'll take it back to dance. I'm telling you, dance has so many amazing, incredible, profound, insightful parallels to life. And that is a purpose of a lot of these chats, as well as all the public speaking that I'm going into with leadership and motivation and connection, right? Is same thing with dance. If someone is asking you for a dance and you're tired, or you've had a bad day, or whatever it is, there are many other ways to go around it. When I've had a really bad day, or if I'm super, super exhausted, I don't go out. I stay home instead. I take that rest that I need because I just know that I cannot give 100% at all that day. So why go out and just kind of be miserable? Right? Sometimes I have some other personal issues in my life, right? And I'm going out and I don't want to deal with them, but of course they're present. They're in the back of my mind. I can't forget them completely. But is that for you to deal with? Of course not. If you ask me for a dance, you're not asking like, hey Magna, can you unload all your baggage on me too? Like you're feeling miserable? Great. I want to feel miserable too. That's exactly why I came out. Of course not. Right? So that's the commitment to your yes, is to one, put yourself in the shoes of someone who's asking you for something. If you haven't been there yourself, imagine it. But most of us have been in that position. If someone is asking for help, if someone is asking for a job to be done, if someone is asking for a task to be completed, if someone is asking for a dance, if someone is asking for your company to do something, think about it in their shoes. If you were asking for someone's company or any of those things, what would you expect? What would you be okay with? What would be unacceptable to you? And based on your own answers to that, try to deliver on that level. Okay. Because we are all very fine with complaining about what we experience from other people when we ask for something, and we do not take that time to reflect and say, well, what would I do in that situation? Right? Would I do the same thing? So take a moment with those things, to understand what's being asked of you, but also to understand what you're capable of delivering and what are you delivering at the end of the day. Cecile said, excellent dance and life analogies. There are so many. There are so many. It's crazy. Sorry, I've been talking for like 30 minutes straight. If you guys have any comments based on what you just heard, if you disagree, agree, if you've had an experience of your own, let me know in the chat. I would very much appreciate it. Have some more people joining on Instagram, and lots of trucks and traffic on the outside of my building, which is very, very loud in here. Again, if you're joining, throw me a line, say where you're joining from. If you're on Instagram, throw me your name as well as where you're joining from so I can give you a little shout out here. All right. I got a question from Nimisha about, do you say no to a dance? Yes, I do. I didn't in the past, but I do now. The reason I do is because of that same commitment. Like, what am I committing to? What am I saying yes to? What is expected? What are the basics that are expected from that commitment, from that yes? Can I deliver on those things? If I can, yes, I say yes. If I cannot, depends. I might tell the person in advance. For example, if I'm injured, obviously I can't dance the same way that I would if I'm not injured. But if I'm injured, I would say, yes, I can. However, I have this injury, meaning that I cannot be at 100% that I usually am. I have this small limitation for today. And if that person accepts my limitation and says, sure, let's dance anyways, then we have an understanding of what that engagement is going to be like. If I cannot perform, or if I feel like it's unsafe, or whatever the case is, then I say no. It took me a very long time to understand and appreciate the power and the self-respect behind the word no. But it's a very powerful word, and if used in the right circumstances and delivered in the proper fashion, it doesn't damage anything. Okay, it enhances the relationship. It does not destroy it. All right. So, okay, moving on. So we're going to go into our main topic now, which is, are you asking for too much? Um, the reason I'm talking about this is on a couple of levels. On it applies, first of all, the question of are you asking for too much is something I feel we hopefully, or possibly, or maybe not hopefully rather, but possibly all dealt with at some point or another. I've definitely felt it with work. I've definitely felt it when it came to events and being hired for events. I have felt it in friendships, and I have felt it in romantic relationships as well. That feeling of knowing what you want, um, knowing what is a standard that you would like to experience or that you would like to achieve, or knowing a minimum of what you need to feel satisfied, to feel valued, to feel gratitude, and not getting that, but not having the energy or the courage to ask for it and to demand it. And then the offset of that is to not realize the impact that it has on you, but on many people beyond you. There's ripple effects to us not setting our own boundaries. Okay. When we don't set our own boundaries in our negotiations and our dealings with other people, what we can enable actually is poor behavior on the other person's part, because there's no checks, right? Boundaries are self respect for yourself, but also a check to things that might not be acceptable. And if someone's never getting checked, then they just feel like everything that they're doing is acceptable sometimes. And sometimes those checks actually allow someone to see, hey, these are some of my inadequacies and deficiencies, and maybe I can work on being better at that because I keep bringing this to the table and it's not accepted anymore. It's not enough. And I should work on that perhaps. Right. So it allows for a little bit of reflection. Um, the first thing I guess I can go into is with dance events, right? With work. There was a period of time, of course, when I started and I was just excited about the whole traveling situation and wow, I'm going to a new country, I'm teaching, I'm doing all this, I'm meeting all these new people, these are all these new experiences. This is so exciting. And I didn't understand the toll that travel takes on the body, that travel takes on your health, on your physical health, on your mental health, that travel takes on your relationships. I mean, traveling every weekend means you're not around every weekend. That means that you don't have time for all the other social activities that you would have been doing before with all of your friends that are local because you're just never here when people are available. Right. And so over time, of course, as my experience increased, so did my fees. And then over time, through more and more event interactions, I realized that there were some things that were happening that shouldn't be happening, that weren't good ways to treat artists, that weren't good ways to um, accommodate the long travels and the long schedules and the late nights and possibly the poor situation when it comes to finding adequate food and nutrition. There were a lot of things like that that were present across many events, and all of those experiences forced me to change the way I interacted with events. And I did that through my contract primarily, but also through my negotiations with organizers. And yes, I did feel like I was asking for too much. And I felt that from the organizers themselves, because there was always this comparison with, oh, well, so and so isn't, and so is doing it for this much, and so is not asking for all of these things, right? And you start to feel a little bit of um, a little fear, first of all, in asking for something, but then you also start to feel critical of yourself. Like, is this too much? Are these basics like arriving at an event at 6 a.m. because that's the only available flight, but only being able to check into your room at 3 p.m.? Is it asking for too much for them to arrange for a room a little bit earlier so that you're not sitting there from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., 9 hours in a hotel lobby with all your bags after you just got off of a 13-hour flight and a huge time zone difference and you're exhausted right before you're about to do a full evening's night of work and right into the morning dancing with everybody and then repeating for the rest of the weekend? Is it too much to ask? Yeah, it did feel like that. It was really hard to actually say, I'm sorry, but you know, if this is the best flight that you can arrange, I appreciate that it's better within your budget than something that arrives a little bit later. However, I'm not going to be sitting in a lobby for 9 hours. You'll have to arrange a room, right? So, in that sense, there's this element of feeling like you're asking for too much when in reality, you know that you're not. And it requires a little bit of courage first to be able to speak that. But even before that, the main step when it comes to asking for too much is clarifying what exactly are you asking for, and then assessing that on the level of, is this too much, is this possible, is this reasonable, is this something that should be there present for everybody because it's just the way you treat people or it's just the way you take care of people. you know then identifying what are your must haves and what are your nice to haves, because there are things that everyone's different, of course, but there are things that we absolutely need, and there are things that, yeah, that would be nice, that would be a nice bonus. And then, of course, the setting the boundaries and then setting the standards and then committing to those standards and boundaries, right? Being able to say, all right, this is my minimum and these are the things that I need, and if I don't get this, you have to be able to say no. On a relationship level, let me take that back to friendships and romantic relationships. Now, sure, maybe I ask for a lot. Maybe you guys are friends. Some of you are actually close friends with me, and you're like, "Damn, Magna, you're always asking for too much," right? Um, and in relationships, I used to feel that too. That that I was like, am I asking for too much in terms of affection? Am I asking too much in terms of communication? Am I asking for too much in terms of um, respect and love and all of these things, right? And when you look at other relationships, other friendships, and you see how they function, you see many of them that don't have all of those things, right? The ones that you're asking for, at least the ones that I was asking for. I've seen many relationships that have spanned a lot longer, but I don't see that kind of connection, that chemistry, that fun, that joy, that appreciation, that love, and that affection between them. But it works, and that's fine. That's good for them, but that's not good enough for me, right? And on a personal level, yeah, I've been through many, many dating experiences where I've dated people who I just I wanted to love that person, but I just couldn't because I didn't feel like my basic needs were met. And my problem was that I felt like I was asking for too much. My problem was that the person would give me that sense. And my problem was that my reference points, which I also have changed, people who didn't give much were my reference points. And so when I explained my dilemma to them, they were also reinforcing the notion that I was asking for too much, right? But in reality, what I've learned is it's not that we're asking for too much. We're often just asking the wrong person. Because maybe if you're asking for less, you can find a lot. And when you're asking for more, it's harder to find. But if those are your bare minimums, if that's what you bring to the table, and that's what you feel is a reciprocal relationship, a reciprocal exchange in your life, then you might not have the quantity, but you will at least get the quality. So, same thing with work events, right? Yes, my terms for engagement, my rider, my fees, all of that stuff, maybe to some event organizers was asking for too much. But I believe that what I deliver, this is how I feel valued. And maybe I'm not booked every single day, but the events that I'm booked at, they work for, sorry, I was going to swear. I've swear before, actually. They work great. Okay. They work great because there is an understanding, there is an appreciation, there's a respect, and there's a capacity to provide what it is that I'm looking for. Right. Same thing with relationships. There's people who I've dated who, weren't able to deliver all those things. They're not bad people. They're great in their own light. They just weren't capable of giving me what I was asking for in that other way of dealing or way of interacting. So either romantic or even friendship. There are many people that we meet when we go out to social events, to dance events, to work events, right? And we might have a great connection with them, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they will become good friends for you because, or depending rather on your standards for your friendships, right? But it doesn't mean that you need to compromise your standards and just be friends with everybody. Compromise your standards and just commit into a relationship, a romantic relationship with anybody. Compromise your standards and accept any job offering, right? Once you know what your value is, once you know what your worth is, and once you know what you are bringing to the table, and you can assess that accurately, not inflate it, but definitely don't deflate it. When you can assess that accurately, it's easier for you to get closer to what it is that is actually fulfilling in your life, you know and it goes back to capacity as well, right? Which is where you take out judgment out of the equation. It's not about judging someone for not being able to deliver. It's about understanding and appreciating what where they're at and what they're capable of. So going back to the event analogy, um, if I'm not even allowed, going back to events rather, there are events where they couldn't afford to do what it was that I needed as a minimum for myself. And I didn't look at that event and say, "Oh, you're trying to haggle me," or, what a shady organizer," or anything like that. No. I just looked at it and said, "I'm sorry, but we are not going to be able to work together, at least not for this event, because I will not feel valued on these terms. And I'm not saying that your terms are bad, but they don't work for me. There might be other artists or people that you can hire, that you can work with, that might be closer, that would make a flight significantly cheaper, that might live in the town, that would make hotel costs completely moot. You don't even have to pay that, right? That might be able to provide different services because maybe they have a team and they can spread those team members out to offer you more, right? So there's no judgment, and that is really important, because you don't want to come out of situations feeling negativity or resentment towards someone for them saying, "This is all I have to offer," right? And you don't want to have that self judgment and self criticism upon yourself that, "Damn, I was asking for too much," right? But it does it does require us to assess where we're at, and where we're at is always changing, and that's also important to assess. Who I was when I first came on the dance circuit 20 years ago is not who I am today. I have learned a lot more. I've gained significant experience. I have much higher skill sets. And yeah, of course, I'm not going to be at the same price that I was back then. Like, how would you expect that? And same thing, going back to that previous topic that I was saying, which is, you know, would you expect that of yourself? If you've been in a job, right, in a company, let's go to something that's very simple that everyone can either relate to personally or knows at least 50 people that can, right? If you're working with a company for 20 years, do you expect to be paid the same rate? Of course not. How would you feel valued? How would you feel appreciated? Would you feel like you're asking for too much to get a raise? Of course not, right? So, as the person who's asking, as well as the person who's receiving a request from someone, think about it before you make the judgment of too much, asking for too much, and saying, um, this person is entitled, or this person is shady, or this person doesn't respect me, right? Take out all of those judgmental labels, and instead look at it as a value transaction. Look at it as, what are you bringing to the table? What will actually feel like it meets the value that you're bringing to the table? Okay. You can give a discount in whatever way you want, but understand how that will impact you. So, for example, let me go back to events. You know, Generally, I would try and fly the most direct route possible. Why? Because flying is exhausting. If you've only flown once, you might be like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited to be on a plane and be in an airport." And I had that too. But when you're doing it all the time, it's quite exhausting. So that's why I would prefer the most direct route. Now, if I compromise that and say, "Sure, give me something with 3 layovers," okay, I'm bringing it down. But what happens to me at the end of those 3 layovers? How much more exhausted am I going to be? Right? Like, am I doing a service to myself, to the person hiring me, to the event, or am I doing a disservice by accepting that? Right? Everything has consequences, positive and negative. If you cannot assess the consequences of your decisions, you are going to make poor decisions. And I'm not saying you, I'm saying in general, that includes me, because I have done that myself. Right? And on a romantic level, I have done that too many times to enumerate to all of you, right? I don't even want to admit how many times that's happened. But even on a romantic level, there are things that I have compromised, thinking that it would be acceptable, thinking that, well, at least we can make this work this way, when in reality, it's only served to make me feel less and it served to change the engagement interaction with that person because there's a tinge of resentment there because I'm not getting what I want. And it's only resulted in either a bad breakup or just a shitty relationship at the end of the day. Okay. So take a check of what you're doing, where you're at in life compared to where you were before, especially assess that growth of your own and what you need to feel that level of contentment, that feeling of satisfaction, that feeling of being valued and gratitude, because it'll make a difference for those relationships. And you do not need to cultivate every single relationship to death, to maturity, right? Um, but the ones that you feel are important in your life, job, um, personal friendships, personal, intimate, romantic relationships, um, if that's something you want to cultivate, you've got to understand where you are, what you're bringing to the table, and what you feel is an equal value of reciprocation um, on that level, so that you can feel present, you can commit 100%, you can let go of any type of resentment or unmet expectations, and you can deliver, and you can really, really thrive in that situation, in that relationship for however long it ends up lasting. Any questions? Wow. You know, how do I just talk for like an hour straight, right? um, just seeing some comments here. Feel free to throw in your comments if you've had an experience similar to this, if this helps at all. Also, of course, before I read off these other comments here, feedback form, super, super important and appreciated. um, magnagopal.com/feedback. If any of this has resonated with you, or if there's something else you would like me to discuss in a future topic, in a future live chat, or on my blog, let me know in that feedback form. Because once we end this, this will not be the best place to leave that type of questions and comments, unless you're leaving it on YouTube, of course, right? So yeah, so please, please, please, even if you filled out a feedback form in the past, each feedback form is different because each live chat is different. All the topics that we discuss are different. And so I would love to know what your experience is with that. There are simple ways, to show support. I know we enjoy sitting here and like having these discussions and getting these questions that you've asked answered and attended to. And one of the ways that I feel appreciation, of course, is when you guys complete those feedback forms, because it really means a lot to me to know what you gained from it, how, if any way, that I've helped change your mindset or change some aspect of your life for the positive. Okay, so magnagopal.com/feedback. And again, getting to these comments. Sorry. And of course, don't forget the membership launch special that's currently present, learn.magnagopal.com. There is the dance membership as well as the combo membership, which includes the dance and the fitness. And both of them include access to mindset tips on how to train, how to be present, how to engage with other people, especially the dance one. There's so much about dance that's all about connection that we can not only use on the dance floor, but also use in our day-to-day lives with the people that we interact with. Okay, so those are available. Learn.magnagopal.com. There are discount codes for both the monthly memberships as well as the yearly memberships until August 15th. So don't miss out on that. Haidar, yes, you can leave your comment in the leave your question in the comments and I'll get to it. All right. Wade said, fantastic take on committing 100% to the task you agreed on and the caring to say no when you can't give your best, saving the bad experience someone doesn't deserve. Absolutely. Even if one at the beginning of asking that person looks so excited to ask you, make sure to pay them back with what everyone deserves, which is your best. And that's exactly the point. Um, JBF Philly, so much good advice across the board. So glad I joined today. So many things hit very close to home. Gratitude, being valued, not viewed in a negative way, never compromise, positive and negative consequences. Thank you. I hope JBF Philly, that you can please take a moment to elaborate further on, especially what resonated with you and what hit close to home in the feedback form. Um, Nikki Castoro, good points. Thank you. Um, if there's nothing else for today, I think we can call it a day. Again, remember, please, if you want to support this channel, if you want to support the live chats, there are a few very, very easy ways to do it. The most easiest way that you can is hit subscribe, especially on the YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, leave a comment, let me know if you liked it. As simple as loved it, heart, whatever it is. Okay. Another way is also that you can share, especially from YouTube, not so much on Instagram or on Facebook, but on YouTube, you can actually share clips that you felt resonated a lot with you or that you found really useful. You can take that clip and then just share that URL to somebody. That way they can actually see that segment that you actually enjoyed, and they also have access to just immediately click on the entire live chat if they want to watch more of it. If you are sharing anything, please take a moment to tag me. That way, if anyone comments in your share or has any further questions, I can always address them too, or address them in a future live chat. And if you want to show even more support, you can always on Facebook and YouTube, if you look in the description, you can buy a coffee, right? It's like a little donation. And on Instagram, I believe there's an option to get badges. But if not badges, you can always send me a message for the Venmo or PayPal link or whatever too. As always, it is a pleasure to be here. We will be doing this monthly chats. This is our 18th monthly live chat. So it's been going. I'll be doing this next one will be on looks like September 7th. Okay. I'll give you guys more information, but if you subscribe to the channels, you will be notified of when something else is coming up. But at the moment, it is on the first Wednesday of every month, unless otherwise stated, at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, submit your questions. You can send me a question at any time. Okay. DM, comments on another post that I make, through my website, via email, wherever you want. The more questions I get from you, the better I know how to guide these live chat sessions so that I can actually provide something of use that you can apply to your life or your dancing. Okay. Another comment here, I can see the worth that a professional with 20 years of experience reflects why that person has 20 years as a pro and a great reputation. Thank you, Wade. The value that they bring is a buildup. You would always get, as a result, more than what they ask for. Thanks for the inspiration, Magna. Thank you all. All right, folks. Another end to a lovely live chat with all of you. You guys are amazing. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for staying. Thank you for saying hello and where you're from and all of that good stuff. If you are watching this replay, leave it in the comment too. Okay, let me know where you're from. As always, it is a pleasure to be here, and it is an honor and a privilege to be able to serve all of you. I think that's another thing, with having a great audience, a large audience. What do you do with that connection? What do you do with that influence and that reach, right? And so for me, my purpose is to empower all of you in one way or another. If at least one of you got something out of today's session, then my job has been done, because I still believe that immortality is possible through the way we impact other people. So the more people you impact, positive and negatively, the longer you live beyond your own life on this earth, through that impact, through that influence. So I take that very seriously. And that's why I always try and do something that's positive, because I would like my next life with all of you, through all of you, to be a positive reflection of this one. Okay. Thank you again, everybody. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day, rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. And don't forget to check out learn.magnagopal.com. Wow. Don't forget to check out learn.magnagopal.com for the memberships as well as the special launch promotion that is available until August 15th. Um, really great discounts on those memberships. Lots of great information on there already. And I will be adding a lot more. There's already in the combo membership over 70 hours, 70 hours of content on there. So I'll be adding a lot more going forward because, again, just like these live chats, I get little things with dance or with fitness or with mindset, little tips that I can also include and record and add, upload to the platform. So the way it's set up right now is even better than before, which allows me no limits to what I can add. Whereas my previous platform had limits on uploading content, I have no limits now. So I'm literally just going to be putting lots and lots of stuff on there for all of you. Okay. So have a great day. Don't forget to fill out the feedback form. I beg you, please, please, please. magnagopal.com/feedback. Okay. Simple form, takes maybe 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, and it would mean the world to me. Okay. I hope you all have a lovely day. Bye, Instagram. Oops. How did I do that? Uh-oh. As always, there's some glitch, right? Never know what the hell I'm. Ah! I'll just knock over my phone instead. Bye, guys. And everybody over here, thank you again. I will see you in the next live chat or somewhere else.